Good morning. Good morning. This is Property Value. I'm Dave McGard, the host. My two co-hosts today, Ralph Pena, Christian Lalong, where we talk about commercial real estate and headlines and developments and sales and whatever South Florida that is in the news today. So it's January 12th. Let's get into this. And Mr. Ralph Pena, Managing Director, is here today in the studio.
Morning.
What do you got for us, Ralph?
I got an interesting one here. Everybody, it's no secret out there about Brickell. Obviously, Brickell has been a hot market for a long time. A lot of development going on over the years. Recent headlines from CoStar is a developer makes big residential bets in Miami Brickell district. Developer Camilo Miguel Jr., CEO of Coconut Grove-based Mass Capital, had teamed up with Rock Point Group, and they've acquired a 2.8 acre site in the Brickell Financial District. Now they plan on developing 1,250 residential units, 80-story condo tower, mixed use with some residential, with some commercial on the bottom. Now this is an interesting one because this site is off of 14th and South Miami Avenue. Initially, because we've worked on this over the years, this site over the last 15 years was owned by a Chinese-based corporation, which acquired the site with entitlement back in 2014 to develop 75-story tower. And prior to that, two other developers had big plans for that site in mid-2000 to develop it as well. So this site has actually been sitting stagnant for years. And finally, somebody coming in basically add more residential volume to Brickell, which is going to be interesting because, he's coming in quite bullish because Brickell, you look around here and the consensus is, at some point there could be an oversupply of property in Brickell. I mean, it's just my opinion. I don't know what your thoughts on it.
We're not here for, we're here for opinions, but we're also data people and look at numbers. So, that's a hard one. I'd have to look at what's the supply, where's the vacancy, what's the supply for condos that are on sale, what's the price point they're selling them at. And I'd have to take the opposing view and say we're not oversupplied.
Well, yeah, on the apartment side, they're saying that the region vacancy had dropped below 4% for the last 15 years.
So they're building this
is a condo.
So it's condos.
Condos.
It's not apartments. So we're talking about Class A condos,
correct,
not directly on the water.
Right.
But you'll probably have, I don't know, definitely have beautiful views of Miami and, that to the west.
Right.
And then to the north. But to the east, to the bay where the water is, I think there's buildings I know there's, I don't know, maybe it looks over that church. I don't know. I know that lot very well. That site, I drive by it all the time on my way to the supermarket. It's really close to our office right here.
Yeah,
it's right down the road, and it's big. It's huge. It's got great walkability. Like there's a ton of restaurants right there and bars and and the supermarket and Walgreens and everything's right there.
Yeah.
Even there's even a transit stop for the train.
You're short walking distance from Metro, and obviously the Metro Mover's right down the street. So, you got everything you could ask for a high-end luxury condo. Now, just a matter of when this will eventually come to fruition.
Did it say like the price point of what they're looking at, or
No,
they say development
no.
line, or this is just a notice that someone bought it?
Notice that someone bought it, what their intentions are, what they're planning on doing for the site. They're the only price point it says that they're planning on selling $1 billion worth of residence of real estate. So
It's that
I mean, who knows?
That B word, they're throwing that B word.
Yeah, everybody throws it around now.
We talked about the $1 billion development for the soccer field yesterday, and that's our clip that's going out later on today with Beckham and the office buildings and such over there.
And the green space and all that.
Yeah. It's a very cool project. And it's funny because when I went home yesterday and I was talking to Soli about it, and the first thing she said, she's like, "Oh, there's gonna be crazy traffic."
Oh, yeah.
And I asked her if she knew what a Debbie Downer was, and she didn't know. Great, man. Yeah, that's gonna be. I look forward to seeing that rise, and maybe we'll even work on that tower. That's going. I think there's 2 towers.
Correct.
Right.
Let me see here. I have the renderings on it. I think it's just one. Yeah, one large tower.
Beautiful. Chris, what do you got for us? What are you looking at today?
Good morning, everybody. So, first article here today for me. Yeah.
That's your own little intro, bro.
Thank you, man. So this first one is over from Commercial Observer. It's Finefield Companies snag Wynwood site for mixed-use building for $20 million. And Chicago-based luxury real estate developer Finefield Company has closed on the $19.5 million purchase of a site in Wynwood, likely for a mixed-use development, Commercial Observer has learned. The location is right next to the railroad station, very similar to the luxury property that we were just talking about. And it's in North Miami and Northeast 2nd Ave at 45 Northeast 27th Street. Here it is. Finefield is planning to develop a mixed-use apartment building with 210 rental units of 11,500 square feet of retail and 296 parking spaces. The developer did not immediately respond to requests on the comments of the purchase, but the transaction is accelerating the growth of Wynwood, Metro One's Andrew Nava, who represented the seller of the deal.
Where is it? North Miami Ave and what?
It is in North Miami Avenue and Northeast at 45 Northeast 27th Street.
The top of North Miami Avenue and Northwest 25th?
27th.
27th?
Yeah.
I thought you just said 45th.
Yeah, 45th Northeast 27th Street.
45. When it said 45, that's right off of North Miami Avenue.
So North Miami Ave and Northwest 27th Street.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's not, based on the address, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. What are they saying? There's 200 units. Are they saying how much are they trying to get? How big they are? Are they micro units? Or are they adding? Is there any retail on there? Or do they have a timeline? Or
unfortunately, the developer didn't respond to any of the questions, so we don't have any news on that. But what we do know is that the mixed-use apartment building, as mentioned, is going to have 210 rental with 11,500 square feet and 296 that's of retail and 296 parking spaces, and it's in a really good location. It's right next to the train station, just like the last luxury property we're talking about. So I'm pretty sure what they're going to do is they're going to have the same thing they're going to be doing there, where they're going to be having a market on top of retail and then on top of residential, and then they're going to also have it right next to the metro so they can go anywhere they want.
Yeah, I don't think that metro stop is there yet, but I know they are bringing one. They're supposed to be bringing one closer to Northwest 29th Street. I mean, that's what's been in the trades, but it's not there yet. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a great point. Everyone's going in Wynwood now. Now it's like proven.
Yeah. And you're seeing the shift. The development going now a little bit more to the east towards North Miami Avenue, which Wynwood, the heart of Wynwood, is off of Northwest 2nd Ave between 2nd and 5th.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're picking and choosing now.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like every day we read something that there's a new development in Wynwood. There's a new development in Wynwood.
Or Alapata.
And I don't know. It's cool, man.
Yeah, always making the headlines with developments in Wynwood.
So last 2 days, Monday I brought up multifamily across 3 counties. Yesterday we looked at industrial. Today I've got office up And so let's go over these data points real quick. Inventory of square foot. This is office, people. 241 million square feet of office across 3 counties. It's they haven't put up the growth has less than a percentage, but it's 0.8. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. It's less than a percentage higher than year over year for the growth. Under construction, though, we got 4.1 million. That's down 21% last year, year over year. So 4.1 million of office under construction. Shoot, most of that's probably in Wynwood. No, I mean, that's a lot, but there's a lot of office going up in Wynwood. 12-month net absorption, 2.2 million. So half of what's being built today was absorbed last year. That's up 250% year over year. Vacancy rate over the 3 counties is at 10%, which is the highest so far compared to multifamily and industrial. I would think office was probably hit the hardest. Well, I mean, retail was hit hard with COVID, but then office was also I don't know if office was hit hard or not. It was like questionable, right? Because they still had their leases in place and people worked remotely. Now we see like our office building is pretty much back in effect and they're actually doing renovations and
I think retail probably rebounded a little bit faster, in my opinion, than office.
And obviously we're talking about South Florida.
Right. South Florida. Now, office, obviously, you had a lot of vacant. It's not vacant because they were making their payments. So,
right.
I think what you're going to see a lot of in office is, one of the things that you're getting out of the pandemic was a lot of people working from home.
Correct.
And readjustment. So maybe that could be attributed to what you're seeing here. What is it, over the large amount of construction that's going on? Is that what that 4.1 million?
4.1 million under construction.
Yeah. And what that red in the red?
That means that it's down from last year over year.
Right.
That means so in 2020, I mean, this is 2022 reflecting 2021.
Right.
So 2020, which makes sense because that was, the heart of COVID here in South Florida. It's saying that, well, I guess there was more under construction back then.
Correct. What you're going to probably start seeing in office is a lot of reconfiguration to adapt to the times. A lot of TI coming into play with new, especially when renewals come into play.
Office is, I mean, it's
still
before like, pre-COVID, the office blueprint was shrinking.
Correct.
So per person, office square foot was shrinking. COVID comes out and they say, oh, now we need more room, social distancing, what have you, right?
Right.
I just wonder if you're talking to the office guys, if they're still under that concept of like, oh, it's going to grow. I think it's kind of like, I wonder if there's a consensus out there. I mean, we drove by that brand new office, Starwood's new headquarters. We've talked about it on the pod on South Beach. Remember I showed you the office?
Yeah, that's a beautiful facility.
Beautiful property.
I mean,
across the street from the beach, South Beach, and just, gorgeous looking, right? It's not your high rise like in Brickell. It's not your tower.
Right.
I think it was only like, I don't even know.
It's like 2 or 3 stories.
No, it's like 5 to 8 or something like that, I think.
I think it's pretty interesting.
That's right. Yeah.
That this is the highest vacancy rate that we've seen
so far, right?
Yeah, 10%, because we've been seeing 3, I believe, with multifamily, and then residential. I think was like around 4 or something like that. I mean, maybe less.
Multifamily is residential.
Yeah.
Industrial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My sorry about that. Misspoke. Industrial. I think we saw yesterday was about 4, something like that.
No, back you flipped it. Multifamily was like 4, and then the industrial was like 3.5.
Oh, okay. So it was even lower. And out here we're saying 10.3.
Right, which isn't that's bad.
That's not a bad number.
Especially when you talk about office because they have a bigger footprint. So it means when a tenant moves in or out, it impacts that vacancy, greater. We got market rent at $37 full service. That's across, 3 counties, and that's across all classes. So I would say that's pretty robust. $37 full service, and it's up 4.7%. Now, here's another thing that like industrial and multifamily are up 14 to 18% over the 3 counties for rental growth, and office is only up, let's round up and go 5%.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're modeling or you're doing all your discounted cash flow models, you could easily put 5% in there. And so market sale price, $306, that's up 7%, and market cap rate at 6.5. I was interested to go down to the market rent per square foot, and I just wanted to see for the last 5 years what it's been doing. So as you see, the places change. Where we at right here? Annual rental growth. Right now, we're year over year at 4.7. That's what's in the green. 5 year is at 4%. And then last year was only at 2%, 2.2%. So the 5 year trend is 4. So we're right. Rental growth is slightly above the 5 year average for office. I like office because it seems like they're being more creative with it now.
Yeah.
Or they're being forced to.
Well, they're forced to be more creative.
Yeah.
Right. So
It's definitely because now you got the problem where everybody is like, wanting to work remotely. And I know at least in FIU, that's kind of a conversation that always comes up in one of my management classes. It's how do you bring in people back to the office? And then that's what we were talking about with amenities and things like that, to kind of attract them. But I remember that there was a case study that we did on Yahoo where some companies just do not do well remote at all. And Yahoo was one of them before they had to switch back and then bring everyone back in the office. So I'm curious to see like how many companies are going to have to be forcing people's hands to start coming back because the company is just losing.
Well, I mean, I don't know about executives and C-suite executives, stuff like that, but you're a brand new person right out of college, first entry level analyst position, commercial real estate. And I mean, what are your feelings about if we hired you and then we were working remotely and we were like, oh, great, can't wait to have you on the team. You know what I mean? And you're working from home. We'll send all your computer and set up to you there. And our first Zoom meeting is on Monday at 7:30 a.m. I mean, how would you be like, oh, stoked about it? Or would you feel like, I mean, like, so what, what's your gut instinct? Like what comes up?
Right. So I would say right now, because of the fact that in my entry level position, I pretty much need to be trained a lot, when it comes to how the appraisals are coming in, what's the process, things like that. So that I rather much prefer being in office and having that opportunity in order to be with you and Ralph and Austin, who's our other coworker here, and having that dialogue, like, okay, because all it does in the end is it makes me better. But after that, it like where I have it all down, I could definitely see the remote being a much more attractive option, especially because my car goes like 13 miles to the gallon, so it's like a gas guzzler. And with that, but at the same time, like I think a really good compromise is having maybe 1 or 2 where everyone comes in, like 1 or 2 days where everybody comes in and then everybody just exchanges if that's necessary.
Yeah, but that's a different model.
Yeah,
That's a completely different model. I mean, what I do
Because then you still have to have the office.
Of course.
And then you got to pay for that.
Yeah. So basically, you're paying 3 days
out of the week.
Out of the week for a vacant spot. They're just going to sit here and collect dust with furniture. I mean, what I do like the fact that having you and Austin here, it kind of forces us as managers to be here.
Yep.
Because your growth benefits the office. And at the end of the day, too, as mentors, as leaders, it's great to see the younger guy come into the industry and grow because we need that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm involved in the Appraisal Institute, and one of the topics that's always coming up is recruiting, building the industry, growing the industry, right? This is an industry, at least I'm only speaking for us in the valuation side. Remote, it will not work until you get to a senior level position.
Yeah.
Because that's when you have the knowledge and the capability to be able to go on your own.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, for the first 5 years to 7 years, the majority of the time, if not all the time, will be more beneficial for you to be in the office.
And I agree with that, honestly, because I think like once you have that knowledge and expertise where you're like, you know this just as good as the back of your hand, then remote can be an option. But if you're like me, where you barely know anything, right?
Right.
Or, it's 100% beneficial to go in, talk to people, and work as a team.
Yeah. And then nowadays we have the technology where it just makes it too easy to go remote, because I could
Mhm.
easily be like, let me see your screen. What are you doing? This is what you're doing wrong, and kind of pinpoint what you're doing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But you're still losing that connection, that ability as a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
as a leader, to be able to guide you. What am I seeing?
Mm-hmm.
Let me see what you're seeing.
Yeah.
I can see certain industries going the route of remote.
Mm-hmm.
If you're data entry,
Yeah.
okay. But even on the commercial brokerage side, I mean, if you're an analyst, you need to learn from your mentors and your leaders. How are you
Mhm.
going to do that remote?
You can't.
You can't.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting because there's always going to be that component. Now, what you may see, which is interesting, because I saw it when I toured an office out in Fort Lauderdale. They were in the process of building out a space,
Mm-hmm.
and it was more of a. Now, this space was more of a for professional quasi medical, but it was more of a how can I can't even describe the field that they're in. But anyway, the point I was making was the setup was low
Mm-hmm.
cubicles, open floor plan,
Yep.
and there was the what they call it, where you just come in and everybody, there's not a designated desk.
Mm-hmm.
You have that.
Yeah.
So you may see that trend where more open floor plan in the office. The old days of the big cubicles, everybody having their own office.
Mm-hmm.
Those days may be over. Not over,
Right.
but you're going to see less and less of that.
I 100% agree with that, because that's actually something that I was learning in FIU. It was a management course that I was taking, and we were all talking about that, where it's the new, what they were calling was the brand new office. That's like what they were calling it, right? Where it's that concept, low if not any dividers. And the reason why is because at least like psychologists have looked at it, and they said it's because it helps with creative flow, and it helps people with like work life, work happiness and things like that. So I 100% see that concept just being more accepted overall, that low dividers, everybody has your space and they're just talking to each other, because it's a really big skill that I think a lot of people are starting to lack now. It's that communication with another person.
What do we do here every day?
Yeah.
I don't think that that format is tested. I think people just, it's a talking point, because you have pros and cons on both sides,
Of course.
right? Like I prefer the low, the more obtainable cubicles, right? When you walk around, that really started in like architecture firms.
Mhm.
They have the flatness and everyone's drawing, and working together and collaborating and such. And in the old school, like brokers, like real estate brokers, that it's kind of like, it's so competitive that their little cubicle is really like their business,
Mhm.
right? So they're really not communicating with all the other people, because they're competing against them, the different teams. So, but when you say like open concept and open cubicles, and like you were saying, because you're talking off of theory, because
Mhm.
you haven't been in that setting yet, right?
Yeah.
So you're talking off of what they teach you in a classroom compared to what really goes on. And I can tell you that when you're working in open floor plan, people aren't sitting around talking to each other, because no work gets done when people sit around and talk to each other.
Right.
It makes communication easier. So when you walk up to someone or you see people's faces, you get to know people, whatever.
Mhm.
But it's like people aren't just chatting. People
Yeah.
actually look against that whole chatting thing, because people are at their desk trying to get work done.
Yeah.
And so I think like it's untested. Like, and I don't know how you would test it. Maybe they survey people and do they like this better? And it's like, but I think that I don't know. I don't know. I've worked in both situations, and I've also 2 years into my career as an appraiser had to work remotely with the Zoom thing, reporting to an office really far away without our own office space and not our own office to go to and such. So I've seen almost all three concepts. And, I prefer, like I said, I prefer the low cubicle where you get to know people and because you could say hello and people aren't like in their little space by themselves and, in and out, and you don't get to see them and communicate. But it's really professionalism and when you're communicating and when you're not communicating. And I think that's people have to learn that and respect people's space.
Yeah, I've been in all of them as well. I found that when I had my own office,
right,
it was great in the sense that, I was more productive, right? I wasn't interrupted. But there's also that intimidation factor.
Yep.
You'll have people who will not or are skeptical to even come up to your office, even with the door open, to even ask a question, so they feel like they're being interrupted.
Right.
Now, when I was in the cubicle setting, it was a little, how could I describe it? You're constantly being interrupted. Why? You're easily accessible.
Yeah.
As a manager. I mean, when I was, different managerial roles that I had throughout my career. And I think that's kind of where finding that balance and having your people understand, you can't just every 5 minutes come and be like asking questions.
Right.
It's like Dave alluded to, the professionalism. And that's also a generational thing. I'm pretty sure if you do a survey out there, you probably get the over 40 crowd probably saying anti-open floor plan. You may get the younger generation saying they're pro open floor plan.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of, people adapting to times and are they willing to change? And I'm pretty sure if you do a good survey out there and you break it down by generations,
you're going to see that.
You're going to see
difference.
that. Yeah.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
it's because of what you guys worked in versus what we worked in. Because in FIU, you're always taught teamwork.
But you haven't worked in.
Yeah, you haven't.
You haven't.
Your theory.
That's a theory versus it's perception versus reality.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it's all teamwork, man. No matter if your executive is in a corner office, or if your cubicle has walls on it, or if your cubicle doesn't have walls on it, or like right now we're all together. It's always teamwork.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge thing what they teach you in college, and that's correct.
Yep.
So but that doesn't matter. It doesn't
in those
depend
settings
on what your desk looks like or where it's located, right? I have a cool article. I didn't really read much into it, but I think it's forever. I saw Mattress Firm everywhere in every retail strip center or community center or out parcel or driving down the street and just saw Mattress Firm. And then you heard, Mattress Firm's going away, right? And they started going away. And now we're in that age of what CVS, 900 CVS is closing and so many brick and mortars closing. So I thought this was interesting when I was just scrolling through right now. It says, after years of real estate blunders, Mattress Firm seeks to open 300 new stores post-IPO. After closing nearly 1,000 locations following a blockbuster bankruptcy and real estate scandal, Mattress Firm has filed to return to the public markets with the same strategy that helped it dominate the bedding industry, adding hundreds of new stores. I just think that's great. I mean, I like that they're coming back out. I like that they're going to have jobs. I like that they're going to take space, because you never know. I mean, they take that, junior anchor, even 4,000 to 8,000 square feet space in your shopping center, and which is needed.
Yeah. What's interesting, because when I lived in Dallas, Mattress Firm came in and took over a lot of the old Pollo Tropical location, the out parcels, which I don't know how it is right now. Did they specify where, like any out parcel spaces, inline space, or we're just opening 300 new stores?
Well, I would imagine. I mean, mattresses are big, right? So they need space. Like, they're not fitting in 1,000 square feet.
No. I would say out parcels or junior anchor spaces will make the most sense for them.
Well, that's what I said. Like usually they're in 48,000 square feet. No, I didn't see what Mattress Firm's retail footprint is massive by any metric. Company officials maintain that its real estate presence is critical to driving sales. Mattress Firm has 2,300 stores, a portfolio that puts 82% of U.S. population within 10 miles of a store. Oh, that's a nice little data point, huh?
Yeah, but you know what's
10,
interesting
10
about
miles radius. I wonder if so. Anyways, that's me geeking out on some stupid nerd data point. The firm also operates 70 distribution centers and uses 30 delivery providers. That didn't answer your question, though, of what the square footprint of each retail store is. And I don't see an answer to that
yeah.
either.
What I find interesting in mattresses is a product that generally you just don't buy online.
Yeah, I mean, we
That
went
could
in
be
literally late in
exactly.
the
Yeah.
mall.
So that could be why you're starting to see the trend of these stores popping up, because this is one of the few commodities that you're not going to go online and just say, hey, I like the king size mattress. Let me just buy it.
And I've done it also. Like, there's disruptors out there. You can buy a mattress in a box that are comfortable. You can buy a $1,200 mattress that shows up in a super smaller box. It pops out. It's great for like an extra room. It's great for a kid mattress. Now, you and your wife,
that's what I'm talking
king
about.
Size, you know, something like that. Yeah, you want to go. I mean, you're going to spend $3,000 to $5,000 on these mattresses. So, I mean, yeah, you want to go, you know, it's an investment, right? But like an extra room or your kid's room or something like that, you can buy these mattresses out of box, and it's that memory foam, and they're comfortable. I mean, I've had a couple of them. I don't have them right now, but I did have a couple of them. Yeah.
So this is a kind of product where, you know, I'm not surprised that you're seeing that's kind of bounced back from, because, you know, it's something where everybody needs a mattress. I mean, you spend more time on. I mean, look count the hours you're on a mattress. You know?
It's like, I think 1/3 of your life, no, 2/3 of your life, you're on a mattress.
Yeah.
Because of just how much you're sleeping.
Yeah.
I just like that they're coming back. Maybe that's the American in me. We like that story of like the champion, you know, and then they get kicked off of their pedestal, and then like they get a second chance.
The underdog story.
Yeah, man. Anybody else? You guys got something else?
I got a which is interesting, because you got this Fort Lauderdale, Miami. They tend to kind of mirror each other with certain products that come up with different developments. The city of Fort Lauderdale approved a master plan for 90 million plus. Basically, what they're going to create is their version of Miami Underline.
Can you explain the Underline?
The Underline, from what I understand, and guys, correct me if I'm wrong, it's kind of what they did. What they're working on right now is under the Metro Rail station. They're basically creating bike trails and making it very safe.
With lighting and landscaping, jogging, exercising,
basically a small park,
which would be like a dead zone usually.
Correct. Yeah. They're trying to make it very pedestrian friendly, make it, you know, appealing, and having that leads into developers coming in and trying to develop closer to these underlines. Now, Fort Lauderdale is moving forward to the plan of their version of Miami Underline Linear Park that'll extend throughout the city, where, I mean, it's no secret, Fort Lauderdale has been booming, the downtown area. The project is 31 miles and it's expected to cost $90 million, and they've added additional $5 million funding by the city so far. Now,
does it have a start, stop, or are they doing it in phases? Or
they're doing it in phases. From what I'm reading here, the multi-phase park and trail will include pocket park, bridges, boardwalks, bike and pedestrian path, landscaping, and will connect public transit hubs. The proposal includes a bridge over Federal Highway on Southeast 14th, and additional multi-use running parallel to the Florida East Coast Railway corridor along Southwest 2nd Ave, from Croissant Park up to Southwest 20th Street. The master plan identified 4 model projects with construction could begin relatively soon, which is interesting, because what this does is, once you get the park established, it creates development at some point. You're going to start seeing projects most likely popping up closer into these projects, because it's a great amenity to have.
Yep.
And
it's the whole transmodal.
Correct. Yeah.
The at least with the Miami one, I always pass by every day on my way to work. It's they cut off a section. It's like about I think it's about a mile long.
Mhm.
And it's what they did is they got dominoes and they painted it. Like they painted the whole. I'm sorry, they painted the whole thing about as a domino set.
I've seen it on along
Yeah.
right by the UM.
Yeah, right by right there on Coral Gables. So it's and I really like that. I really like, you know, getting what otherwise would be like, you know, like you guys said, dead zones, like really nothing. Just make it a little bit interesting. And now you kind of help raise the property values around the area.
And it makes it safer. I mean, lower
Yeah.
the crime rate, it's a win-win for everybody, because then what it does is it attracts people to actually take Metro Rail.
Mhm.
I mean, you know, the city looks at it as the long-term view with more revenue, because more, the way I'm interpreting it, you have a safe park, underline, take your bike, get on the
Mhm.
Metro Rail, and commute to work.
Yep.
And you know, I think it's a great concept. And we'll see. I mean, one of the things that, and it's interesting because when you live in, I don't know, those of you out there, I lived in DC and Dallas, but when you
Mhm.
live in other cities and you come back to Miami, you start seeing amenities that Miami lacks. And I think one of the amenities Miami has always lacked has been this kind of stuff.
Like
Bike
public
trails,
transportation.
yeah, public transportation, pedestrian friendly parks, bike trails, connecting the mass transit to the people.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm glad we're starting to see some of this pop up in South Florida, because we really need it.
I agree because you know, like you said, that's something that I've also noticed when I went to France for 2 weeks, right? A couple of years ago, and with that, what I noticed is a lot the public transportation is really good because obviously the whole entire country was built around, you know, the metro rails. And what I'm really liking is now I'm seeing by by the Dolphin Mall is that they're building a really big bus station there that's going to just kind of go all over Miami. And if they have like a really efficient one where it's like, you know, you can get to Kendall to Brickell in like, you know, let's say maybe 30 minutes, right? It takes my commute about 40 minutes to get from my house. I'll just drop my car off there and then just take the bus. You know, leave me right here. Then I just walk to work.
Yeah, Miami had one of the worst mass transit systems that in my experience, and it needs to evolve because it's growing. We're having a lot of people moving in. Traffic is getting heavier, and
it's gonna be like LA.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's getting better, guys. You guys are painting a gloom and doom picture, man. I mean, come on. I mean, yeah, we had our problems. It is Miami. We've had corruption and scandals and what have you, and the taxi cab community or industry had a death grip around our transit, our public transportation forever. I mean, we just got the link that you can actually take the airport to downtown to Brickell. That was closed off. Why? Because they were lobbyists for the taxi industry, so they could go and pick you up.
Yep.
So I mean that's all money and politics and bureaucracy and things like that. But they got that figured out, right? And we got the Bright Line now, fast to connect all 3 counties. You can park down in Dadeland and take your train all the way up to Brickell to your office or to the airport. There is a bus like terminal or whatever you were talking, like a hub right there at the end of Venetian, right where, you know what I'm talking about? What's the
Venetian?
The Venetian Causeway?
Yeah, right there at the end of it. There's that hub there, where they were going to put the casino and all that. But that's a huge hub of where all the buses come in and you can take it from anywhere. There's a huge bus hub at the airport. So yeah, I think Miami's doing it's turned around.
Yeah.
And they've got, they're connecting the underline. They're doing that. They're connecting. There's a huge long walkway along the water that's supposed to connect all the way from Brickell to Edgewater and all the way up to like 79th Street or something like that, which they've been doing. They've really, like, if you live on South Beach, there's a beautiful boardwalk along from First Street that goes, I'm not quite sure how far it goes right now, but it's a really nice bike ride. So, I mean, I think it's doing its part, like just to actually carve off timing to get you to Kendall. I think when they built I-95, they should have just not. I mean, maybe built US 1 as well, but it
Mhm.
shouldn't have gone into each other. They should have left I-95 a interstate and it took it all the way out to Homestead. Like connected it all the way out to the turnpike like
Right,
that.
right.
That would have been the saving
Mhm.
grace of getting you guys in and out faster, right? Because that's that bottleneck all through those surface streets and trying to take those other highways. But I think our representatives are trying now. If you see now, we got the infrastructure right here, trying to get everyone in and out of downtown area
Mhm.
much better, and they're widening those on and off ramps. So yeah, it's taken a long time. And then the last one, the elephant in the room, is trying to get a people mover from downtown, that hub in Venetian,
Mhm.
to the beach, which for years they've lobbied against it, saying they didn't want to bring in and out the homeless and this and that, and it was a private public sector funding thing. But and because the private owns where Pier 1 Import used to be and Burger King is right there. That's
Mhm.
public land. So that's where the hub would be, which is Alton and Fifth Street. And that would be a perfect thing. Like when I lived on the beach forever. And if that was ever there, I would have taken that in and not have to travel. So once
Mhm.
they build that, you won't need a car if you live in South Beach and you work downtown. And you already basically can live in Wynwood, Design District, Midtown, downtown, Brickell without a car.
Yeah, I don't mean to be like Debbie Downer or anything like that. Though I can completely see if I was coming off that way. It's just more like I understand that Miami is very, very new relatively, right? We're about 200 years old, I think, if that.
It's a young city, correct?
Yeah, so it's a very, very young city. If anything, these are more growing pains. And I would really like, going to older cities and older countries. It's more like seeing those and how we can improve Miami. Because obviously I want Miami to be, just spectacular, the best city in the world. And because of that, I think it's really good to just kind of see, okay, where can we improve here?
Yeah.
So that's just more about that.
And one of the things that you notice in Miami, which it's an issue that needs to be resolved, as we're sprawling west, which everybody knows Miami over the last decade has sprawled west.
Mhm.
They never found a way to connect the mass transit west. So that was the opportunity to have Metro Rail extend west. As you're developing west, add more public transportation. Right now, they're not connected. The west is not connected to the rest of the city. The western
When you say
section,
west, you're talking
the
about
suburbs, Doral, West Doral, West Kendall, the west. When I say west area, I mean west of Metro Zoo. All that area back there.
To Miami.
So you have to
Miami.
drive all the way to US
You have
1.
to drive all the way to US 1, and there's
And that's where
one
trains
main
start.
road in, one main road out. There's not even like here where you can cut through neighborhoods. You can't even do that over there. So that whole sprawl, they never once factored in infrastructure, transportation. How can we fix it? Well, now we're just, busways is probably the only solution right now for this problem. Unless I'm wrong, unless they find another way expanding highways, which they've already done with the 836, but
No, they need to build more people mover tracks.
yeah,
What do you mean?
Yeah.
right.
I think they're going to do that more than people are going to get on buses.
Right. And
People ride buses, but that doesn't get you there faster.
Right.
And I don't know, people, you're yourself, you're an executive and you take the train you don't ride the bus.
No. Yeah. Well, like they did look, for example, in Dallas, the way their public transportation system is set up, imagine the busway right now in US 1
Mhm.
without the train
Okay.
instead of a bus. That's
Okay.
really what they did. So basically, instead of Metro Rail being high up, now the difference is you don't get the flooding over there that you get here, or the hurricanes and all that. But that's besides the point, is because you don't get this crazy flooding anyways in those locations. But if you were to just in that corridor alone, just put a train to connect straight into Metro Rail, go up on Metro Rail, and go straight, that'll go a lot further than a bus.
Yeah.
All right, make it happen then.
There you go. Start lobbying right now off the podcast.
There you go. All right,
Talk to
so
our
I got a
politicians.
story from the Real Deal, South Florida, that I think is cool because this is happening all over Florida. Florida is probably one of the states with the most golf courses. So back in the 80s, they had the communities would have, it was cool to live on a golf course, right? That's when it was more people thinking of you move to Florida to retire.
Mm-hmm.
Now people are kind of changing that mind frame. People still move to Florida to retire because the weather is nice pretty much all year round. But people are moving here as well as to raise their family and now work in tech or work in finances and what have you. South Florida is booming. So you have these older communities that are wrapped around these golf courses and no one's out there on those golf courses. And some of the golf courses aren't even usable. They're just spaces there. So I love when people go in and, they rezone it and a developer goes in there and, builds again and brings these communities some life. I think I'm just a sucker for whether it's an old building or an old neighborhood. I like seeing when it's revised and communities are built and people start using it again. And then you see like the mattress story or, so here's Lennar pays $19 million for a golf course near Delray Beach, approved for a residential community. It says the home builder Lennar paid the $19 million. It says 13 floor homes. Delray that had approved the residential development, 13 floor homes through an affiliate sold the portion of the course, 5901 Delray to Miami-based Lennar Records. Wait, where's the information? The former 119-acre Villa Del Rey golf course is on the northeast corner of El Claire Ranch and Lake Ida Roads. What are they going to build? Called Del Rey Trails with a total of, they became a property owner in 2020 and then obtained Palm Beach County approval for the age-restricted community called Del Rey Trails. Total of 251 townhouses and 164 single-family homes, according to the developer's website. Lennar will continue to follow the approved plan, but only on the part of the property it purchased, according to the statement. Let's see what they're going to build, though. So they bought some of the recent ventures. Man, I hate when they don't tell what they're going to build. So it says last year, G&L Homes plans to build more than 550 home community on Boca. Yep. So another great headline with lackluster information in it. And, unfortunately, you only find that out when you read through it. And people could say, oh, yeah, why didn't you pre-read through it? Well, we do this live every morning, and this is us reading through articles.
What's interesting about a lot of these projects is back when the golf courses were functioning, people were paying premiums to
have a condo,
on the golf course.
Yeah.
So,
and this is a fun fact. People paid the premiums to live on that. And it's very noisy to live on a golf course because they're always mowing it. And then you also have higher insurance because of the golf balls.
Yeah. Yeah. And
really?
Yeah. And then on top of that, too, you also have the wildlife as well, because a lot of these golf courses have big lakes, which breed snakes, gators, mosquitoes is a big one.
Oh yeah,
because so you're paying a premium to have golf balls flying at you, getting lawn mowed at 5 a.m, get invaded by mosquitoes, have snakes in your backyard.
I mean, they don't write that in the contract.
Yeah. And you have this gorgeous greenery, right?
That's the Florida lifestyle.
Well, over time,
you don't know that you want.
Yeah. And then what happens is now, okay, the golf course closes down. Then there goes you got the premium, no neighbor. Well, guess what? You get new neighbors: possums, raccoons, grass that goes up 6 feet high,
cranes.
And then now your home value depreciates because who wants to live behind an abandoned golf course? Then development comes into play. So for 2 years, you got hammers like what we're hearing right now upstairs. Then you have workers yelling at each other at 6 a.m. Then lo and behold, a new neighbor pops up. So you went from the peaceful lifestyle of the gorgeous greenery to now you have, Juan in your backyard blasting Latin music.
Yeah, but that's a big, someone might have bought that condo in the 80s and gone to retire and they were 65 and they're buying the beautiful.
I'm just going the
lifestyle.
evolution.
Yeah, but I'm saying that person that probably bought it in the 80s, that's, they're probably rest in peace, but they're probably not with us anymore. And then the condo is traded or sold or probated or
Correct.
whatever. So probably it's not even in the same family of the people that bought it when it was nice and gloriful. You know what I mean? But yeah.
It's the gentrification of living in a golf course community.
yeah,
You
Yep.
go from gorgeous greenery to, you know, Joe in the backyard blasting music on your new neighbor.
That's probably me. I'm
at
probably
least they're
the
gonna
one
make it
blasting
better. Though.
music.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Good for
agree.
Lennar.
Yeah. It's better than having that eyesore. I can see why the city would go this route of rezoning and selling the land,
I'm surprised Topgolf like hasn't tried to get it.
because that's not a Top Golf location. Top Golf kinds. If you look at where they're located, they're in areas,
Industrial.
industrial parks, areas where land is cheaper,
Mhm.
and they have the zoning allows them to build these high
Facilities.
and it yeah, that they're
Yeah, they
they're-
need parking. They need a lot of stuff.
they need a lot of space, and and there's no way they would allow a Top Golf in a residential community. No. think about the size of just the netting and everything
Yeah.
they have there. No, not.
All right, gentlemen, I don't have any more articles. If you have one, anything left? Anything left?
Done here.
All right, man. Well, thanks for listening. We'll be here tomorrow, every morning at 8 a.m. Everyone have a beautiful day. We're out.
Good.
Bye, everybody.
See you guys.
Thank you.